Hello and welcome back to Boring Dad Gaming, where today we're going to be playing some more Roadwarden. And before we dive in, I just want to say thank you to everyone for the absolutely amazing feedback on the first video. That was it really meant a lot to me. So, you know, I'm glad that people enjoyed it, and I hope you'll continue to watch the series. But without further ado, let's pick up where we left off. And the one thing I will say about this game is it loads really quickly, which I do appreciate. So yesterday we'd arrived on the peninsula. We'd spoken to some soldiers at the first camp we came to, and we made our way to this inn, a strangely fortified inn, and we're going to find out what's going on here. Inns like this one fit the regions travelled by merchants, but you wouldn't expect a place of this size in a forsaken peninsula. The stone and lumber must have been transported from far away, and the workers, guarded by expensive mercenaries, surely lived for many seasons in a primitive hamlet, subsisting on salted supplies. There are seemingly no cracks in the wall, and the building was whitewashed only a few years back. The road is wide and beaten. Dozens of souls could hide, if not in the buildings, then at least in the yard. The expenses and labour put into this fortress were worth many trading ships. 3 armed people are on the ramparts, though you only see what's above their waistline. They're leaning on the parapet, right next to the gate, and you think you notice a glimpse of a smile. They wear gambesons, each of them dyed differently, yellow, green, and linen grey. A woman in yellow armour leans forward. She has long curly, disorderly red hair pointing in every possible direction. This combination of colours doesn't work at all. In the woods, no one would have to shout to draw this much attention. There's still a fair distance between the two of you, but she speaks loudly. "I haven't seen a horse for years now. I just said that it's weird to see such a large jackass, huh?" Her voice is young and strong, with an accent that reminds you of the villages spread around Hovleven. But no jackass would wear a saddle, I'd say. She exchanges a few words with a male guard wearing green, giving you time to move closer. "Well, this one here says they really are donkey saddles. Say, traveller, how hard is it to ride a horse?" So, again, we could be friendly, we could be playful, distanced, intimidating, or vulnerable. I don't know about this one. It seems like for a very specific type of playthrough, I think. The good thing is if you click it, you do get a preview of the line you're going to say. So for friendly and cordial, how about you give it a try? Or playful. Maybe we'll be friendly. Let's be friendly. How about you give it a try? She gasps. "Seriously? Just a moment?" She disappears behind the wall, and soon after that the gate is opened. While you dismount next to the wood-splitting spot, a couple of people surround you, pointing at your mount and commenting on its appearance, though they step away whenever Roach makes a rapid movement. The guard in yellow armour is the only one who steps forward. She raises her hands as if to pet your palfrey, but doesn't touch it. "Oh, it looks smaller from above," she whispers loudly. "How do I even get up there?" It's not easy when you lack confidence. Better use a stool, or I can help you. She touches the animal, which pays no attention to her presence. "Oh, now I'm really scared." She contradicts her words with a gentle smile and shining eyes. "Maybe I should wear something lighter." You nod and engage in a bit of chit-chat with the entire group, discussing what it takes to take care of a horse. Finally, the red-headed woman, or red-haired woman, leads you onto the roof where your palfrey can rest, tethered with a cord to a wooden post near some old hay. "Once you're ready, go inside, speak with our boss. Maybe you're hungry?" The other guards return to various chores. They peek at your mount every now and then as if they're splitting firewood, cleaning their clothes, weeding the garden patches, and moving chairs. 2 of them are making a rope. You head towards the inn, hearing the piercing scream of a boar from the other side of the yard. I won't do the boar noise. I open the door. Okay, another tutorial message here. If you are at an inn in the morning, you can spend the entire day resting. I'm not sure how, but we'll find out. The locked windows make the air stuffy, and the weak fire in the stove hardly lightens up the hall. A muscular man is sweeping the floor near the stairs, but after he glances at you, he leans the broom against the wall and heads behind the counter. "You're lucky to show up." His voice is deep and soft with a city-like accent. He observes you with keen attention, yet avoids your eyes. "I've got a keg of decent ale. Wormwood, bog myrtle, juniper berries, cat's foot." He fills a mug carefully and puts it on the countertop. "It's gonna spoil soon. Today, maybe. And we don't drink here before the even. I hate to see the good stuff going to waste. He's going a bit western, isn't he? I might have to tone that down. His skin is dark, almost purple, rare even among the southern tribes, and the hair is naturally bluish. His clothes are quite fancy for manual labour. The elegant tunic wouldn't stand out in the city square. I stand at the counter. The planks let out a creak after every step you make, so you slow down a bit. You could swear that the innkeeper made little to no noise. Here you go. He pushes the mug forward. But just so you know, my pelt doesn't belong to Hovleven. You can sleep on the floor if you wish so, but if you want a bed or a meal, you'll have to pay. We may have some leftovers from dinner, but I'd need to check. I know from my demo play, I know it's a bit sneaky to do it in this playthrough, but I know that he prefers sort of more serious people. We were told that at the front gate in my last playthrough, so I'm going to just be distanced. I won't stay here for long, I say, introducing myself. He nods and fills another mug, this time with water. I guess there's no point in waiting for Asterion then. I'm glad to see someone taking his place. Even my crew here hits the road only if they need to see the healers of Howler's Dell, and they're more than resourceful. A Roadwarden is always going to find work here in the north, though maybe not on the eastern road. He takes a mouthful of water and drinks it with a pleased sigh. There were no guests here at the time, or hardly ever. I can take a short break. For a brief moment he meets your eyes. I'd drink the ale, why not? The dark room and wooden walls of the mug make the liquid look as brown as a chestnut. The Lean spring hits your nose, and the first sip is even too complex, too flowery. While the brewer has used fancy ingredients, the exotic licorice ruins the aftertaste. Now you know, well, there's so much left. Maybe it takes an acquired taste. The innkeeper nods. I was hoping to see someone willing to patrol the roads. Maybe you'll help me with a worrying thought I have. Which is? There are brigands in the woods. Our place is a stronghold, so I'm not afraid of an open strike, but they've gotten more active in the last 2 years. One day, they may steal our furs, and I've no doubt they're the reason why merchants come here only once. Having bandits around gets expensive. He rubs his hands together, camouflaging his paws. I want you to reach Howler's Dell, northwest from here. It's the largest settlement around. I'm sure you'll get there sooner or later. Ask Tice, the mayor, about Glorcia, that bloodthirsty wolf of a woman. I've heard rumors about a raid in the north. If Glorcia is ready to break the truce with the locals, I'm willing to join forces with them to get rid of her band. He looks at a nearby dragonbone. Not too difficult, right? Just do it when you have a chance. A couple of days won't make much of a difference. I'll pay you 2 coins when you get back with the news. Fine? See if we can haggle. 3. He nods with a smile. What else do you need? Okay, we are hungry. We've only got 1 out of 4 nourishment here, so I'm going to see if there's any leftovers. Yeah, I feed them to our boar. I won't give them away for nothing. He tells you to wait and then leaves the building for a few minutes and returns with a wooden bucket and a long stick ending with a hook. Go through the gate and turn left. You'll see a bunch of bushes. We need some berries. Bring me a bucketful. You'll be done in half an hour or so. Your horse could use a nap anyway, and I'll prepare something to fill you. The hook is not made of metal or wood. It's a long, curved claw, almost black. Yeah, we could do that for him. Half an hour, that's quite a lot for berry picking. The tools are cold, not too heavy. You notice a pair of thick gloves at the bottom of the bucket. The berries are not a problem, the innkeeper smirks. Unlike the snakes, better scare them away with a stick or move them with a hook, and protect your hands. The little ones won't eat you, but don't get bitten. I'm sure you know how to be patient. Right, let's go then. You step outside. Roach is fighting off flies with its tail. At this hour, the armourer's workshop is closed. Let's go and forage first of all. The innkeeper knew what he was talking about. You put on the gloves and look through the bushes from a safe distance. It doesn't take long before you notice the first serpent lying on a rock somewhere in the thicket. The creatures are not that large, and even if some of them hiss at you or slither closer, the jabs of the hook keep them at a distance. You don't know much about these berries. They're round and reddish. You wouldn't trust such a colour even if you were looking for food in the wilderness. The plants don't have thorns, but the leaves are harsh, and you make sure to thoroughly cover your skin with your clothes. You have to look through many bushes to fill the bucket, but the presence of insects and snakes doesn't allow you to relax. We gather the berries and go back to the inn. You've returned to the courtyard. Two of the guards are participating in a friendly skirmish. Their wrestling is accompanied by a crowd. Let's go in the inn. The locked windows make the air stuffy, and the weak fire in the stove. I think we've read that bit last time we came in, didn't we? So you again. Need anything? I put his fruits on the counter. Great. He peers inside the bucket. I've got cabbage stew with a few goose chunks for you. I'd serve it even to merchants, if there were any around. The meal is warm and filling. It's well seasoned and not overcooked, and we've gone up to 3 out of 4 nourishment now. And like I've said, I rarely have food to spare, but feel free to ask if you ever stop by. You may be lucky, and I've been cooking my whole life. I will say thanks. And how did that old hook of mine work out for you? I see you still have your hands. We can give it to him back. I'm fine. He takes the tools from you and nods. Need anything else? Let's do the talking, and then we'll go back and see if we can buy anything from him. I'm looking for Asterion, the previous Roadwarden. Are you now? He goes to the table and invites you to sit down with him. I don't think I'm going to be of much help. He rests his elbow on the tabletop and grunts quietly to clear his throat. But I do want you to find him, so... When asked about his intention, he measures his words. Asterion and I made a risky deal, well, a very promising one. Last time he was here, he took 50 coins. My half of the investment. He knocks on the table with a fist anxiously. If you get my coin, or at least find out what happened to the guy, I'll make sure you won't be disappointed after bringing me the news. Could it be that Asterion stole the coins and ran away? He looks at a window and starts to play with a shutter. I just think Asterion ain't the kind of soul that would do such a thing. For him, it wasn't much of a fortune, and I'd risk saying he'd earned my trust. Not only mine, you know. It's easy for a Roadwarden to make connections. He always had places to go, things to take care of. He rubs the table with his thumb as if trying to clean an invisible stain. I've asked travelers. I've sent a couple of my pals to find him. No real news. I know he stayed in White Marshes for a day, and was meant to do something for the people there. It's a village in the northwest. Just stay on the main road until you reach the bogs, then enter them. You may get there before dusk. So, let me know once you find anything, and we may yet return to this whole investment thing. I'll think about it. What can you tell me about the peninsula? What could anyone say? This place doesn't even have a name, unless there's an old book in an archive that no soul knows about. You know what I'd call everything from here to the coast? The hunting ground. He glances at your eyes. But it's not us who hunt. Keep that in heart. But the beasts in all shapes and forms. His words gain confidence slowly, which is strengthened by his deep voice. I've lived in this inn for over 10 years now, and I've only seen a couple of roads, a couple of places. It's just, once you get here, and you see how harsh it is to hit the road, you only have more reasons to stay at the warm stove behind a wall, even if it's suffocating. He looks towards the windows. I'm sure you've heard a lot already, that the people don't build hamlets anymore, that there are no more ibexes from the south, and the traders stay for only a few days. All of our iron is used for cauldrons, not swords or tools. Are the eastern roads as tough as I've heard? Pretty much. Don't leave the main road, I'd say. Not so far from here you'll find an old dolmen. Few of my people had to spend a night there, and monkeys stole food and gourds, whatever they are, from their bags. It was their fault. One of them had fallen asleep in the middle of his watch. But you know. The eastern forests are wild, the roads are rough. Almost no soul lives there. One day, all these roads will be swallowed by the trees again. The furthest my team has ever gone was the home of the Enchantress. Just stay on the track until you reach the crossroads, right near an abandoned watchtower. From there, turn east. You'll recognize the place. It's a nice home in a lonely meadow surrounded by a wall. He looks towards the closed window, then at you again. Kinda like our walls, but simpler, without coating. She lives as a hermit, Eudocia. I don't even know how she survives there. But if you don't have decent coin, you won't find much there. So, back to the crossroads. If you turn left instead, you'll see a road. People stay away from it. It connects the tower and the monastery, a shortcut between the two sides of the peninsula. I was warned by the locals not to use it. It already belongs to the beasts. What about west? Well, there are hills nearby. Then you'll find a village, maybe an hour from here. It was destroyed by beasts almost a decade ago. Nothing to see there. The goblins live there now, so most people just travel around it. And they say that it's haunted, but who knows? Who cares? He crosses his arms and starts to sway back and forth, gathering his thoughts. You'll get to a large tree on the edge of the swamp. For the locals, it's sacred. You're not used to hearing someone mentioning pagans as if there's nothing unusual about them. There's a small path south which leads to an old mine in the mountains. Nothing to find there. But keep riding north and you'll find Howler's Dell, set at a clean brook. Farmers live there, and mouflons and druids. They'll let you stay for a night, but they're not cheap. If anyone thinks my prices are bad, it means they ain't been to the Ape Ale Inn yet. I smile politely. I only know a bit about the next settlement, Old Pagos. The soil there ain't too fertile, so they work in their quarry and help other settlements build things in exchange for crops. The forests and hills ain't too harsh, but the Seekers have a small monastery nearby in the mountains. I don't much care about them. They keep to themselves and they don't pay well. The third village is unknown to me. White Marshes, set at the bogs. I've heard it smells like a griffin's lair. I've heard a lot of nasty rumors about the place, but I won't share them. I don't want to be a lie spreader. So, 3 villages really. Howler's, the one near the monastery, whatever it's called. Oh, sorry, Howler's, the one near the monastery, whatever it's called. And Marshes. Don't let the beds and palisades fool you, though. Weird people live there. Don't tell them more than you need to. You wonder if it's something he would tell other travelers as well. Have you ever been to the northern coast? I only know about another inn. It's far from here, maybe a day on foot, and a bit less from the eastern side. His eyes once again focus on the floor. I've never been there, but I've heard it's a safe place, close to villages of fishers and hunters, though I don't know much about them. That's all I need. We can ask about the inn. Ah, so you know a thing or two after all. His mocking tone is soon replaced by a gentle smile. It was built long before we arrived. It didn't work out well for the previous owners. Once the war ended, they left. Not enough travelers, bad trade. The villages stick to themselves. We, however, came prepared, and now we're prospering. When you ask him how they can afford all the supplies, he runs his fingers through his dark hair. I'm not against running an inn, but we don't rely on guests. We're the ones doing all the trading. My hunters are a clever bunch and stay safe in the forest. In exchange for furs, claws, and bones, we get what we need and more. Both from the south and the north. He relaxes in his chair. Yeah, we have a good life here. We spend a whole lot on armor, crossbows, lumber, and spears. But in another 10, maybe 20 years, we'll have enough savings to move to Hovleven and not have to work another day of our lives. We take risks, but smartly. The team is stronger than ever, and I have big plans for us. I don't know, but it feels a bit odd asking that question. So we're going to go to the story behind the inn's name. I mean, there's a story, but not a good one. He clears his throat. For years, I wanted to have an inn called Pelt, but in my city it would be in bad taste. Taverns and inns named with a single word were cheap, had a nasty reputation. There was the Claw, and Mugger, Basilisk, and Blissful, I think. The good places used to have at least 2 words. Empty barrel, a rose and a helmet, Empress's smile. Pighead was the exception, it was a real dive. He chuckles. In my soul, it's still just a pelt. Pelts are what we came here for, and what will make us reach our goals. Let's go back. I know that if I ask about Glaucius Band, he's looking for news, so he hasn't got any other info to share. Any rumours worth sharing? He crosses his arms. I don't like to talk about people who ain't nearby. But you know what you're doing. Who are you wondering about? So we can actually type names here, but I don't really know anyone to ask about yet, so let's change the topic. So let's see what he's got for sale. I can go and pick up a few things for you. Some food for your travels to start with. Apples, nuts, sausage. Not too many at once, we need to maintain our supplies. I've got an elk fur I don't need, its bire was caught by a pack of red wolves. Nice for a sleeping spot, just as nice for a wall. An almost untouched soup, priceless for a traveller. You can't tell if he's sarcastic. Made of fine oak ash. Strong, but you should have some better... Yeah, it says soup, right? What he actually means, and I thought it was soup, but we're going to find out in a second what he means is soap. An almost untouched soap. Priceless for a traveller. You can't tell if he's sarcastic. It's when I got to the fine oak ash, I realised you probably wouldn't make soup out of that. Made of fine oak ash. Strong, though you should have some better supplies before you start your own bathhouse. After you mention you'd like something more useful on these roads, he looks down. I don't have any blades or armor to spare, but if you pay well, you can take one of our crossbows and a bunch of quarrels. A yew-bow, wool cords, and the trigger just need a little bit of oil. It's as good as you can get without soaking it in magic. It takes a bit of muscle to draw, but even a 16-year-old could handle it. I won't sell it cheap, but I'm ready to get a discount to a helpful ally. Let's have a look at his stuff. So, well, the elk fur is 17 dragon bones, which we don't have. 30 for a crossbow. We have 5 currently. What I'm going to do, I'm going to buy the food rations, 3 filling meals that won't spoil anytime soon, and I'm going to buy a box of soap. You see, it says soap here, not soup. An oak-based balm that burns skin on longer contact. There we go. So we'll finish there. That's all I need. Go outside. So we could rest here. We don't need to, though. I mean, we're doing pretty well. We've only recently slept, so let's go to the well. Let's scrub up a bit. The recently renovated wooden roof covers the well from rain and birds. One of the guards is enjoying the cold drink he drew with a bucket and tells you to only use as much water as necessary. The oak ash soap you own can help you get cleaner. Let's have a wash. Splashing yourself with cold water from a bucket won't take away your smell, but it's enough to remove the tallow and sweat from your skin, or mud stains from your clothes. So we've got another in appearance now. We're still only 2 out of 5, so we're still a bit grubby, but we're very slightly cleaner. Let's go to the guards. The woman in yellow is kneeling next to a brown, hairy boar which is resting on its side. The beast is not as large as the dark ones from the forests. It responds to the touch of the human's hand and brush with grateful grunting and rapid twitches of a hind hoof. No matter how friendly it appears, it's still tethered to the well, and you have no doubts that its charge would leave Roach dead in a breath. When the woman notices you, she steps forward to the boar's disappointment. So, the new Roadwarden? She points at a window with her chin, forestalling the question. We don't need anything now, but when we travel with our furs, we can use some assistance. She may be around 30, but her warm voice and bright smile are camouflaging the touch of time on her unpowdered face. Like many red-haired people with freckles, her skin is unhealthily pale. Apologies to any red-haired people with freckles reading this. Watching this. The boar runs up to her, observing her boots and fruitlessly sniffing for food beneath the beaten ground. She pats its back, but maintains her focus. How about a game or two? We have a bit of time and can talk a bit about this and that. Maybe you'll get a couple of coins. Or lose one. She winks. We could play dice or throw axes at a target. We could... I would quite like to do that. Okay, let's start with some dice. Your arrival, and especially the dragonbone you pull out, are cheerfully welcomed. 2 of the guards bring a table from the inn. Another one prepares a couple of stools and chairs. There are also spectators, and you're told that the other hunters are either sleeping or have duty on the tower. Remember, no magic, says one of the players. His face is deadly serious, which is a shame because I was planning on using it. The game is new to you, but in no way baffling. 4 people can play at once. The wooden dice are long, with only 4 dotted faces. Every time someone wins a round, they get a point, and the person with the most points at the end of the game wins all the coins. As you play, you don't feel like you have much control over the results. You share casual jokes, memories, and views on luck and optimal strategies. Roach and Julia's camp are also brought up, but when you ask about the roads of the locals, their stories are vague. The drinks are here. It's a pour beer made from the leftovers after the regular brewing. It's cold, sweet, and doesn't reach your head, but you try to avoid the smell. Just don't spill anything, the boar may get sick, says your bald opponent. In just a few minutes, you get 2 points, which are now represented by smooth pebbles. You don't really know how you got them. Either you don't get the strategy, or it's just pure luck. Well, let's see how lucky I am. It doesn't give you any odds here. During the final round, you get ahead of everyone, and the spectators playfully comment on your moves. The winner takes all. 3 dragons are placed on the table, and you put them into your pouch quickly. The table and chairs are moved back into the building, and the guard in yellow armour thanks you for playing. Is there anything you need? Have you ever been at the heart of the woods? We sometimes hunt south from there. There are good hunting grounds in the western half. The second one is too overgrown. Maybe the soil is different. She shrugs, then moves her hair away from her forehead. But it's a risky spot. There are treants there, and wolves, and even the furless ones. And if you have to go through the tall grasses, watch out for what's on the ground. There ain't many archers in the trees. She smiles as if it's a joke, but there are all too many worms, even larger than a water leech. We're going to walk away. We could head to the armourer. You walk past the well and find a small open shed, not unlike the stable, but with a humble set of tables, carving tools, hammers, sharpening stones, pincers, knives, and other tools. As long as something can be solved by brute force, this place may find a way to do so. There are 2 people sitting on a long bench. The first one is a male with maybe inch-long hair, a cleanly shaven face, a thin, long yellow tunic, bare legs, and sandals. He ignores your presence, sewing a gambazon with great concentration. The second person is a boy, maybe 15, who's wearing the crude outfit of a farmer. He glances at you, but soon returns to sharpening a long dagger. Greetings. The man raises his head, but it's the boy who speaks, focused on his task. He ain't talking. Tell him what it is you need. The man smiles in confirmation, looks at the piece of garment in his hands, then looks around, shrugs, and returns to you with a raised eyebrow. Am I in need of your services? He nods, points at the laces in the front of your jacket, and raises his clenched fingers to his shoulders, then gently spreads and lowers them as if he's taking off a robe. You follow his command and allow him to properly inspect your gambazon. After a few minutes, he gives it back, then reaches for his pouch. He pulls out 1 dragon bone, shrugs, then another one, and waves both of them in the air, pursing his lips. He makes a few speech-like noises with his empty mouth, groaning what sounds like, "I don't know." I consider his offer. So he can add some... he can repair our gambazon in an hour. He's going to return an extra health to it, so I think we're 2 out of 4 at the moment, so that'd be 3 out of 4. I think that's worth it. We won 3 in that gambling game, so let's do that. There we go. Repaired a bit there. I feel like this gambazon could use some adjustments. He nods enthusiastically, but then apologetically points behind him at a small box filled with basic tools. "He ain't that experienced," says his assistant. "We can do this and that, but only the simple things." Could you patch my clothes if they were torn? He shakes his head and points to the uneven seams on his own tunic, then grabs a crude bone needle and shows you its broken head. "He wouldn't even if he had the tools," said the boy, "but you can try and Howler's Dell or Gale Rocks." "Learning the trade, I see." "Kind of," he answers reluctantly, but his teacher pats his knee, giving him a harsh look. The kid clears his throat. "Yeah, but we both ain't masters, you see. There's not a soul to teach us, so once I'm ready I'll try hunting instead. Fixing things for others is boring." The man grunts a sound, though you don't understand it. Seeing your face, the boy chuckles. "He said safe. Let's meet in the middle. Boring, but safe." The man nods. Right, we'll leave. So what we can do now is travel. So we're back on our map, and this is the inn, the Pell to the north, where we are now, and we're going to go west. The road uphill meanders, slowing you down and forcing you to pay close attention not only to the shadows of the trees, but also to the tight, rocky passages. You can't help but notice a few caves and fine ambush spots. Now keep an eye out for any sign of life. So currently it's roughly 10 hours before dusk, 39 days left in our task. Standing in front of the gate, you hear no voices, no tools at work, no steps. Dozens of birds live among the collapsed roofs. They're fluttering, singing and squawking as free of worries. If you want to travel any further, you need to ride around the palisade. Searching the ruins may take a lot of time. The broken gate in the north will lead you to the village. The sound of the gentle river reaches you from the east, where you see a saggy fence surrounding an overgrown pasture. Behind the burnt building in the east, you see an oddly barren field. Okay, so this is the village that the innkeeper told us had been destroyed by beasts, and said there are goblins living here. At the moment, we've ridden up to its south gate here, and we can't see anything beyond these sort of immediate areas. So we've got a few choices. We can approach the building in the field. The broken logs and planks are charred, while the wooden walls are rotten and covered in moss. You see no ashes or dust, proving that the fire happened long ago. The smell is awful, and there are no reasons to stay for long. You see no furniture, just some broken shelves. It was just a storage room. The valuable odds and ends were already taken by the scavengers. We take a closer look at the gate. The palisade is in good shape, and the gate wasn't even touched by the fire. It was torn away, possibly thrown. The used force must have been huge. You'd expect that. It would push the entrance into the village, not away from it. You don't see the marks of a dragon bite. A troll could toss such planks, but after so many years you see no paw prints. A mage? You can't really tell. Let's move forward. Where do we want to go? Okay, so we could go into the southwest part of the village through the gate. We can inspect the fields in the southwest, which is, I guess, kind of around this area, or the pasture in the southeast. Let's inspect the fields first, shall we? Here we go. So bits of the map will open up as you explore. You're surrounded by what looks like a field ploughed in late autumn, disturbed by hundreds of rains and snowfalls. There's a few clumps of grass and wheat, but a place like this one, abandoned for years, should already have turned itself into a green lea. A barren field? Maybe it was overused, but you would still expect the weeds to sprout. A curse. The path leading west from here ends at the edge of the field, shifting into a meadow, then a forest. In the north, you see a path leading around the palisade. We have a chance to cast a spell here. Maybe we could do that. Okay, I use my amulets to sense if there's pneuma buried in this place. Yeah, that's worth one, I think. You unpack the wooden spheres, pleasantly smooth and light. The entire set fits in the palm of your hand. You place them in various spots, marking their positions by sticking a branch in the soil. All you can do now is wait, so you brush Roach for a bit and make sure the saddle doesn't bother it. When you return to gather your amulets, all of them are much warmer than your skin. The entire field is corrupted, though seeing how there are already some plants growing from it, the spell is fading away. The curse is most likely as old as the last harvest. I walk away. I need these amulets to cool off. Your stomach makes you let out a painful groan. We're not getting particularly hungry. We could go to the pasture in the southeast. You don't find a single sign of the livestock that lived here in the past. Any bones, horns, antlers, or dung have already been devoured by the wilderness. The pasture ends at the river. On the opposite bank, the meadow turns into a thick forest, impenetrable for a rider. What are the chances that a herd of defenseless animals could get there and survive? The breach in the southern fence wasn't made by some brute force. You find axe cuts in the spots that were ultimately broken away. After all these years, there are no tracks that you could follow. Okay, so we can't go around that way, but we'll return to the main road. And now it makes sense to look into the village. And here we go, we've got a little bit opened up in the village now. The buildings, some of which have collapsed, are made of wood, now charred and rotten. You spot claw marks on the walls, especially close to the doors and window frames. They could belong to a dragonling, or a large wolf larger than the grey ones, or a corpse eater. Too many options to make a guess, and yet no beast remains in sight. You find the remains of clothes, furniture, odds and ends. Only one object seems to be of use, a basket-like fish trap made of vines and willow branches. If a large fish swims into it, it won't be able to get out on its own. It's quite large, but I can fit it on my saddle. The closer you are to the village and the longer you stay around, the more sick you feel. The taste of the gastric juices hits your mouth. Your forehead hurts, you start to stumble. Roach, worried by your sight, pokes your head with his nose. I have to remain strong. Oh, whoa. Alright, so much for the food we ate. Another few steps, you return to your last... After another few steps, you return your last meal. You spend a minute or so leaned forward, gathering your breath, and then wipe your mouth. You feel better. Ew. Where do we want to go? We could check out the main square. In every village, the main square is the fanciest area, meant to charm the travellers. Yet this is way more than you expected. The houses are as big as in Hovleven, and the paved ground took a lot of work and materials. The walls, now charred and riddled with holes, are made of an expensive coated wattle. The tiles for the roofs also had to be brought here from a different settlement. You peek inside the three smaller buildings, the rotting remains of their former splendour. The birds living in dozens of nests respond to your arrival with quite a commotion. You don't find even a single dragon bone, nor a tool or a piece of furniture left unbroken or unrotten. You're surrounded by bad smells, dirt, animal droppings and garbage. The well also stinks. It has no bucket, but you'd be afraid to use it anyway. Who knows how many birds have relieved themselves inside, or how many old rats have found their death while climbing up the walls. Suddenly you hear some sounds coming from the largest building. You feel a slight aching in your stomach. We should check it out. I prepare my axe. You step cautiously towards the scent of urine and sweat. The flickering candlelight shows you broken furniture, yet no signs of burnt wood. You consider pulling the other door when a masculine voice proves that your presence is not unnoticed.
I dinna want it to come to this. Best you stay where you are. Whatever ye put inside, be it a shoe, a hand, or your damn thinker, it'll get a bolt.
Let's take quite a neutral response. I'm the new Roadwarden. Let's talk. A short pause.
Well, we can talk, we can. But how is it that you chose to visit this place from all that there are?
He goes on before you respond.
It may be you're telling the truth, so let's say this. My little ballista here is all pulled and ready, but you won't do anything stupid, right? No running, no jumping around. Show your hands.
The man's voice lacks confidence and his accent is tricky for you. He could be from the distant south, which is possibly the Wild West, but as long as you don't speak too quickly, you understand one another. You don't hear any other movements, breathing, voices. You lean your axe against the doorframe and make sure that your knife is well hidden. The dense smell of urine hits you with full force, while the tools and utensils are hard to distinguish from the rubbish. The route to the upper floor is blocked by the collapsed roof and loose wooden beams. There are scraps of rusting iron and steel on the ground, detached from now destroyed barrels. The scavenger is sitting on a blanket in front of the tent, pointing at the floor with his loaded crossbow. Not a short man, though a bit skinny. He's tanned, dark-haired, and has seen his share of struggles. There are long claw scars on his left cheek, and another one that would divide his eyebrow in half if it hadn't been consumed by fire, just like the rest of his forehead. His clothes are untainted by vanity. He's barefoot in a dirty linen shirt with rolled-up sleeves and simple pants that use a cord for a belt. His long beard and hair are untrimmed and tangled. I stand near the... Okay, so we could sit on the stairs, but I'm going to stand near the door watching his weapon being prepared. He follows your gaze.
Not a good way to make the air warmer, eh? I try to be safe, that's all, and I can't let you stay in my shelter. You better ride ahead. I already piled up whatever hasn't rotten.
The candlelights are dancing on his burnt face and arms.
I saw your horse. Maybe you could help me, What are you looking for in this place? You don't sound like you're from the north.
Okay, so what are we going to choose? We want to make sure there's no undead crawling around. Need to get to know the peninsula. Short on dragon bones. Bandits. Looking for a Roadwarden. He might have seen the Roadwarden, so let's ask about that.
I've never met him, but surely heard this name many times. He vanished long before I got to the coast. At first, people were asking about him. Now they think he's dead. Listen.
He scratches his thighs nervously.
I'm hungry, so damn hungry. I can't hunt or fish with all the ape men around. Can you share anything, Roadster? I may be a drifter, but I wouldn't beg if I had not lost my bags on the road. I was going to say lost his legs on the road. Bags on the road. I don't want to give him a vast amount of supplies because I'm very hungry now. But we can give him some cereals and crackers maybe. With some water, you'll have a gruel. He lets out a relieved breath. I may even boil it.
After a moment of hesitation, he grabs the apple.
Without you, I would have had to run after birds with my ballista, but I need to save the bolts for the ape men. And because of these stinkers, I can't roast here, and raw meat makes me want to puke. Thank you.
After a couple of solid bites, he puts your gifts in 2 wooden bowls.
Now, Roadster, he says with a full mouth, if you have questions, ask. I'll say a lot to make you get me out of here.
This villager makes me sick. Maybe he can tell us about that.
Me too, in the guts and the thinker. Gets easy with time if you're patient. Must be the air or the smell of death. Death and ape man piss.
He pats his stomach while laughing. Have you searched the village? Are there no hidden treasures left?
You came to the wrong place. Time, moisture, and the damn borers devoured all the loot. I've been here for a couple of days now, and all that's left is this iron I carried here. I was planning to get back here with some hired muscle and clear the collapsed buildings, but I doubt it's worth the time and risk.
Tell me about yourself. He gives you a sullen glance.
What for? I've no legacy to keep alive in tales. I may tell you this and that after you take me out of here.
How do you keep the goblins away?
I've got a trick or two to keep me safe. A little something that scares them away even without magic. But tell you what.
His smile turns into a wide grin.
Help me get out of here and I'm gonna share some of it with you.
Are there no undead here?
He nods. I've seen none. People say it's been less than 10 years since the herds came here, but I don't know if anyone bothered with raising the pies. If not, the dead are all roaming in the forest now.
He clicks his tongue with frustration.
It may be there's a walker somewhere under the debris, waiting to break through like a dragon in an egg.
He looks straight at you.
You better don't dig.
Any bandits here?
Nah, I think they're in the north or east. I stuck to the western road and no shell bothered me. Sorry, can't help you.
So we've seen the word shell used a couple of times. I think it basically means body. Where do you want to travel to?
Let me explain first, eh? I was in Howler's Dell, the closest village in the east and north. And people there are nice, you know? Not like in old Pagos. Those are all boring and grimmer than a crow, but they crack coin for everything, and damn good coin. I left, wanted to look around the ruins, see if there's anything left, and then moved to Pelt and hire the hunters to help me here. No luck. Bunch of griffs jumped my pack bird. I just bought it.
He spits on the floor.
Fast and nimble, but not brave enough to listen to me when all that screeching and scratching started. So it ran away with my bags. A few fell on the ground and I pulled them here, but you see how it is. I won't travel around with a 10 on my back.
He taps the crossbow with his fingers.
I need maybe a day more, eh? Just a day. And I'll have all the irons scrapped from the barrel so I can move forward. But I can't take all my stuff alone, and without me around, the 8 men are going to break in and steal all my shit. I need to stay here, but since you have a horse, come back tomorrow and help me return to Howler's Dell. How about it? I just need to know that the road is safe. Safe as it can be, I mean.
I don't work for free.
I have ways to pay you, don't you worry. I can give you dragons, but I have to sell the iron first, so I'll need a bit of time, you see. 5 for a short escort would be plenty, I'd say. But if you want, I'll give you a secret jar of mine. A very fine mixture that scares the 8 men away. Works on pebblers, too.
When you ask if all this stench of urine is somehow related to this potion, he just winks and chuckles. So what exactly do you want me to do?
I need you to make sure there's no danger hiding on the road from here to Howler's. Or rather, I know there is some danger. But as long as you can get there and safely return, I'm sure we can handle some roaming monsters.
He theatrically rubs his hands together.
This ballista has hit more beast skulls than I have fingers, and I've never lost a finger roaster. Only the toes.
Maybe to prove it, he starts to count on his fingers.
So, see if the road is clear, then come back tomorrow. We'll pack my stuff on your horse and move out. But don't come when it's close to evening. We're going to need 3 hours on our feet, and I won't push through the night. Even sleeping next to an 8-man tribe is safer. He chuckles. And don't make me wait for too long. I can wait a couple of days if I find some food, but if you don't get back, I'll have to risk it no matter what.
Why Howler's Dell? If you want to go south, we should travel to Pelt to the north. I mean, it's closer, isn't it?
I mean, I see your point, but I've never been there. Will they afford my iron? Do they have how to pay for it? I need coins to find a handy bunch that will walk south with me, and I need a new staff and bolts. I know the village. It's a nice place. It even has a smithy of sorts.
Okay, I had a chance to take a look though. It's a large inn, a safe one. They seem to be rich and have enough hunters to guide you south, and you can use iron to barter.
Well, it's a shorter path, I guess. Fewer spots to get surrounded by corpses. If you're sure it's the best option, fine. I'll trust a roadster's judgment.
Fine, it's a deal. I'll escort you.
Thanks, roadster. Just come tomorrow. I'll make it worth your time.
Right, let's leave the crazy old coot. Let's look at the southeast part of the village. You find a small backyard. The ground is beaten. The grass grows only right next to the buildings. It was a fair spot for training dancers and fighters. The stakes of the palisade are covered with playful carvings left by playful children who were portraying monsters, weapons, and humans. The rubble in the houses was pushed to corners. The furniture is broken, but you find something of use in one of the piles, a slightly rusty piece of steel. Once you pull it, you realize it's a quarrel for a crossbow. Still usable. Well, it won't be difficult to find a use for it. Oh, we've got another painful groan in our stomach. I don't think we can spend too long here. Why don't we have a look at the northeastern part of the village? The debris was partially moved outside of the destroyed houses, but you find nothing of value. The table, cupboards, shelves and bits and pieces were carefully ransacked. The wildly growing vegetables and herbs are the only remnants of the abandoned gardens. You spot fresh human footprints at the entrance to the latrine, most of which lead to and from the centre of the village. You notice a set of simple tools leaned against a pile of rubble, a wooden spade and a shovel, a pointed stick, a hoe with a bone head, a stone axe. All of them are too old and too awkward to bother with transporting them around, but you'll know where to find them if you need them in the future. Good to know. The closer you are to the village and the longer you stay around, the more sick you feel. Okay, we're starting to get sick again. We've got nothing left to vomit up. But who knows? It sounds like it could be bad. So let's get away from the walls. Leaning on your mount, you go outside, keeping your mouth shut. After a few minutes, your eyes get clearer. Maybe better to leave, or at least stay away from the village for the rest of the day. Sounds like a plan. Have I looked at the palisade in the west? Oh, no. The tracks of human footwear and many, many more ape footprints cover the path formed around the palisade's breach. As far as you can tell, the freshest footprints lead to the village. The wooden stakes spread on the ground are rotten, covered in mushrooms, small flowers, insects and worms. A good source of animal goblin food, though you'd expect them to also hunt for the birds and eggs. The meadow in the west turns into a forest quickly. The grasses in the north surround dozens of tree stumps already covered with moss and fungi. Going south, you'll reach a large field, though you don't see many crops. Any crops. Okay, we don't want to go in the forest, apparently. Do we inspect the clearing in the west? Let's not. Let's do it. The meadow is lush and colourful and so dense it's unsafe for a rider. For a couple of minutes you lead Roach with a rope, avoiding the potential disaster in case a hoof falls into an animal den. Being forced to travel around the palisade every time you get here is going to be a pain. Most of the tree trunks look similar and have a comparable size. They were most likely planted with the sole purpose of being cut down and used by the locals, though cutting so many trees at once, I mean, that alone could provoke the wrath of the herds. Such a process should be spread across a couple of seasons, and you can't be sure that was the case. In the west and north, the clearing turns into a wild forest. In the east, you see a road leading north. Well, I guess we go to the road leading north from the village. You're at the closed northern gate. The neglected road is partially overgrown. You hear a river in the east, separated by the lush meadow, filled with crickets and rodents. Let's take a close look at the gate. Pushed or pulled, it doesn't move an inch. Someone had spread dirt and rocks both underneath and around it, seemingly to keep the planks stuck in the ground. Let's go to the river. You see a quenching family of boars, some of them brown, some black. You consider turning back, but they pay you little attention. After a couple of grunts, they run north. The river is not too wide, yet unusually deep, with banks altered by the locals for decades, if not centuries. The water is cold and clean, yet filled with long plants growing from the bottom. You would rather avoid jumping inside or drinking from it, but you're tempted to at least wash your face, neck and hands. Dozens, if not hundreds of small fish are looking for tasty leaves, but also try to avoid their predators. A dance of life, completely unaware of your presence. You suddenly realise there's something else buried among the kelp. A rusty sickle sticking out of the ground, a couple of stone axes and hoes. The wooden handles and a large wagon are covered with moss, but you recognise their shapes. Why would someone drop them here? On the opposite bank, the meadow turns into a thick forest, impenetrable for a rider. Okay, so we'll do both of these things. So let's set up the fish trap first. You place the basket on the ground, then grab a bowl and start digging, looking for a few larger worms. You bait the stick and put it inside the basket, locking it between the sides, then cover the entrance with the lid. Tying it together takes you a few good moments, but it will be easier later on. You attach the entire trap to a bush and push it into the stream, far enough that it sinks entirely. Who knows how long it will take before something large enough swims inside. Still, it would be better not to wait too long, otherwise the prey may die of hunger. I step away. A we're going to wash ourselves in the river because we got all mucky again when we were sick. The living stream filled with fish and plants won't help you much. The oak ash soap can help you get cleaner. Let's have a wash. There we go, we're clean again. The kelp forest, yeah, okay. Surrounded by little creatures and the smell of river plants, you crouch by the bank and draw handfuls of water. I put on my clothes. So we don't wash ourselves again. What we do, well, pretty much all we can do now is just travel. So we'll go back to our map area, and we can head west again. You enter the wetlands with their many streams, ponds and fish. Large birds run and fly between the grey, sparse trees that are covered with moss, mushrooms and critters. For a human it may be an unwelcoming and harsh realm, but the overwhelming swarms of insects prove that it's a realm full of life. The danger, with teeth and claws, is hidden below the water's surface. Doesn't sound good. Let's stay away from the banks, huh? Ooh. Okay, I think we'll do this area, and then we'll call it a day for this episode. But we'll do this bit. This plant shouldn't be alive, not without leaves. It doesn't resemble the other trees of the wetlands. It's something else. You get off your horse and prepare your axe. The water is filled with dirt and dead plants, and it smells like an old corpse. The roots are spreading far, breaking through the water's surface. You don't see any saurians in the grasses or on the shore. You approach the table-like altar made of 3 limestone slabs. Were these rocks originally as formless as they are now, or was there a point in time, centuries ago, when they were precisely shaped and decorated by masters of artistry? There's no way to tell. Roach is peacefully observing the dark grass and slapping flies with its tail. Whatever it is that you feel in the air, it's clear that your companion's eyes see this place through very different eyes. Okay. I smile and scratch at the bottom of its neck. Go ahead, I'll look around. Or I know there are dark forces hidden here. I ask the right for a vigilant eye and a bright soul. I don't see myself as being that way inclined, so let's look around for a moment. You don't see any creatures, nor humans. Let's approach the altar. There's clumped dirt in uneven nicks, fused by years of winds and rains. The bottom surface of the table is dusty, but you don't find any spiderwebs or mould, even though it's a perfect spot for them. The tree roots cling to the altar in many spots. They're firmly attached, and you struggle to move them by even an inch. The cream-coloured limestone is cold and smooth. I do have a magical option. You use an amulet to detect if there's any magic hidden in the altar. That's a good idea. You unpack the wooden spheres, pleasantly smooth and light. The entire set fits in the palm of your hand. I think it says that every time. You place them in various spots on the altar, next to the roots beneath it and a few steps away on the boulder. You begin the ritual, after which all you can do is wait. You go for a walk with Roach, making sure there are no monsters in your vicinity. When you return to collect your amulets, only the one placed on the rock hasn't changed its temperature. The others are cold. The closer they are to the tree roots, the cooler they are, almost painfully so. This is not what was supposed to happen. If the objects are filled with magic, the spheres get warmer. If not, they stay in their original state. But this? You've never seen such a reaction. Let's try something else. We can make an offering. We can have a quick look at our inventory. What could we offer? What's this winged hourglass hidden? A steel pendant hanging from a leather strap. It's common to Essex jewellery to demonstrate one's allegiance to the right. Okay. Got money. We can sacrifice Roach. I was thinking maybe the quarrel? Because I don't even have a crossbow. Let's see if that works. You put a quarrel on the altar, but nothing happens. Try something else. Alright, let's try food. You place any type of food you can find in your sacks or on the nearby plants, but none of them seems to make any difference. Alright, let's try... Wait, what about... pendant? Or axe? Okay, what was it called? Winged hourglass. You place your winged hourglass on the altar, but nothing happens. Alright, let's try axe. Have we lost all those things? No, we still got them. I guess I'll walk away. Look into the water. You step cautiously without knowing how deep it gets. You have to consider that a saurian could be camouflaged in the mud, waiting for a victim to get near. Since you don't plan to kneel down and drink, you're hoping to dodge the potential strike. Once you get closer, you can start breathing again. While the water is dirty, it's also shallow. You see the vegetation, swimming insects, and even small fish. All of them stay away from the tree roots, which look like a spiderweb covering the bottom of the pond. Aside from that, you don't see anything that would catch your attention. Let's look at the roots. You kneel in front of one that's lying on the shore. It's brown, covered with hair that resembles the fur on your arm. When you touch it, it's moist, soft, and warmer than you'd expect. What do I try to do? Like a poke? How about lick? Like I said. The root is soft and doesn't resist your touch. Its smell is not far off from the stench of water from which it sticks out. You feel its warmth, or maybe it's just a trick of your imagination. After a couple of moments, your lips start to itch. How about chop? You pull out your axe and then stop in place. You can't tell the results of wounding the tree would be. Let's do it. You stand above the root like you're about to split firewood. The swing is accurate, but the nimble root backs down into the water, pulled by the rest of the creature, leaving a trail of red bubbles and mud. Creature? Oh, is it a tree ant? A chunk of the root is still in your fingers, so you move it into a jar from your bundles. The axe is now covered with a red sticky goo, smelling like rusty nails and sweet fruits mixed with beer. You reach for a water skin and wash the blade from the plant's juices. Ooh, what's it called in our inventory? Root. Let's put the root on the altar. What's it called? Weird root. A weird root. Okay. A weird root. Okay, so nothing happens. I guess we walk away. I don't think there's much else to really do here. We could wait. What time is it? So we've got 6 hours before dusk, so it feels a little early to head back to the inn. So maybe we push on. We could go south or we could go north. I think north heads towards towns, doesn't it? Here we go. But I think we'll leave it there. So we'll quick save here and go into this next village that we were approaching in the next episode. But thanks very much for watching this episode of Roadwarden. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then please do hit the like button on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. That would be amazing. And in the meantime, I hope to see you again for the next installment. Bye for now.